Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about what I personally, and this is just my opinion, what I consider to be the single most important exercise for increasing your conventional deadlift. And as you guys see watching here, I'm pretty strong with both the conventional and the sumo for, dude in his 40s. So I have my own opinions on how to train them. I train both. I use both. I think they're both valuable. Most of my clients do both. But I do understand a lot of people out there don't care about their sumo, and you know what? That's your prerogative. That's fine. So let's talk about the conventional deadlift, because there's going to be a little bit of variation between these two as far as building them up. So as far as the conventional deadlift, which you guys just watched the difference there, it's a pure hip hinge. Versus the sumo is a little more squatty. There's actually more lower body involvement with the sumo. More lower body, less back. Okay, and that's just a fact. It's a fact of the exercises. So what is it that I consider to be the most important supplemental lift to build it? It's going to be the good morning. And when I say the good morning, it doesn't mean just with a safety bar like I'm doing here. I think most guys would do well to build their base off of a normal barbell for the good morning. I think that if you have different specialty bars, you should build a base on a variety of different variations of the good morning. But the good morning is probably the single most important exercise for building your deadlift up. Now, will it build every element of your deadlift? No. No, it won't. It won't build every element of it. By itself, will this build the deadlift? To some extent. But if this is the only exercise you did and then you tried to deadlift, obviously you would have some issues. You wouldn't have a particularly impressive deadlift. But as far as building the base musculature up, this is king. And a lot of people will say, well, why not a different hip hinge? Why not the Romanian deadlift? Why not something else? You can use more weight on those. And it's like, well, that's actually kind of the point. You can't use as much weight on this. It is a hip hinge that puts a stretch reflex on the hamstrings, works your rectors, works your glutes, all these different muscles very effectively with a lightweight because of the moment arms involved. And that matters. That matters a lot. And before someone jumps in and says, well, the Romanian, you could train your grip also. All right. None of you guys are training your damn grip with the Romanian deadlift. You guys all use straps for it. Every one of you. I don't see any of you guys doing 5 sets of 10 with limit sets on your Romanian deadlift with a double overhand grip and no straps. So let's just cut the shit right there. You're not doing that. You guys are strapping up. Okay. And I hate to have to be that way, but damn it, you know that I'm right. I don't see any of you doing that. I don't see any of you guys out there doing 315 for sets of 10 on Romanian deadlifts without straps. You're doing it for a hip hinge and a stretch reflex in your hamstrings. The exact same thing that we are doing with a good morning. Period. What's the difference? Bar is further up your back. The bar is further up your back. It creates a larger moment arm, which means we get more torque or tension, it will be, on the muscles we're trying to work with the same weight or equal with less weight. It's just a longer lever. Okay, the bar is quite a few inches further out in terms of your center of gravity. Right, it's a longer lever to work the low back, glutes, and hamstrings. Do the same movement pattern. It also happens to work the upper back more. Right? A little bit more of that upper back will get hit, particularly when you go to something like a safety bar, at the expense of, some of the grip and other stuff. All right, fine. But you guys aren't doing your grip with the Romanian. There's better ways to train your grip. So why does this matter? It's easier to recover from. It is easier to recover from. How many of you guys out there right now are doing 5 high rep limit sets of Romanian deadlifts twice a week? Like taking them within a rep of failure. Like really challenging RDL sets. How many of you are doing 5 of those twice a week? So for 10 total sets spread out through your 2 workouts. because you're all training upper, lower twice a week. If you're a serious lifter, that's 99% chance what you were doing. I do push-pull legs. Well, you're not a serious lifter. Fuck off. So, back over to the point. Back over to the point. How many of you are doing that? Probably not, because it's hard. It's hard to recover from. It's easy to recover from that on good mornings. Even challenging sets, it's easier to recover. It has a higher stimulus to fatigue ratio on a set per set basis. All right? Are we doing this to build neuromuscular efficiency? No, we're doing it to build muscle. We're doing it to build all the muscles involved with the hinge, the hamstrings, the glutes, the erectors. Incidentally, those are the most important muscles for moving a deadlift. Those are your primary movers. Yes, there are a little bit of quad and stuff involved. Now, sumo uses a lot more quad. Yes, there's some quad and things involved. Yes, we use upper back. Yes, grip and all that matters. Lats actually matter on the deadlift. They're not primary movers, though. Okay? They're stabilizers or support muscles. They're most of the other muscles involved are used isometrically on the deadlift. The muscles that we need to build up and get thick, this works. And it works on some of the highest stimulus to fatigue ratios imaginable for those muscles. Okay? That matters. And it happens to work them in a movement pattern, for movement pattern carryover, very similar to the deadlift. Look how similar that looks to a deadlift. Look at the hip and knee angles. It's real similar. It's not identical, but it's close. We'll get all those muscles thicker, right? If you build up your erectors, glutes, and hamstrings, put some serious size on them, particularly its size doing a similar movement pattern to the deadlift, you're going to have one heck of a base to build your deadlift off of, right? You're going to have the potential to move a lot of weight. Now, do you need to build some lat? Do you need some extra upper back and extra trap? Do you need to work on your grip and your forearms? You bet. You bet you do. I'd even argue you need to do some bicep work just to be more resilient to a bicep rupture. Okay? I'll go so far as to say that doing curls could be of value to you for a heavy deadlift. Right? Not saying they're a big priority, but they could be of value for injury prevention. They could be a value for increasing the strength on your rows, right? If you have weak biceps, you can have a weak row to some extent. And if you get a stronger row, that helps with your grip training. It helps with your lats. It helps with those middle traps. All those muscles that need to be held tight isometrically on a really heavy deadlift, they'll build those up. So, back over to the point, those other lifts are helpful too. I would argue rows can be a real high priority. If we need to look at what's next behind something like the good morning, well, rows will do pretty good also. They're very effective for increasing a lot of the other muscles involved, particularly a standing row, strict pendlay row. Same thing, stimulus to fatigue. And it trains us to hold the posterior chain tight isometrically, just like at the start of a deadlift. All right? So both of these, they'll have a lot of movement pattern carryover. But, just building your back up in general up top and, again, building your lats just for better isometric strength, that will all help your deadlift also. That will help your deadlift. The good morning will build your deadlift. Again, we could talk about all the merits of box squatting, and I think we should. Box squatting can help build both deadlifts, including the sumo. The sumo deadlift can help build the conventional. Okay. But I could get a lot of guys out there to a 500 deadlift without doing any of those. Like, quite frankly, I could probably get a lot of guys to a 500 deadlift with nothing but like 90% of their training being good morning and row variations, right? Then doing some deadlifting and some speed pulls and stuff in there, right? I could do that, but 90% of their training could be around those two exercises with a heavy focus on the good morning and get somebody to a 500 deadlift just fine. Okay, this is the most important movement, in my opinion. And I gave you guys a pretty good argument for why that is. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.